Okay, today is November 18th, 2022, and I'm not going to wait for the end of COP27 to say that the HSD levels is now at 99.94% of the People-Primates, and again, it's because business as usual. There's no changing of paradigms. There's no common sense in applying science. And that includes scientists who, let's say, are less worried about saying that the projections are always off because there's an optimism and there's always, mentioning the future further than it should be when it comes to, let's say, rising sea levels and other parts of the systems that they're not studying and incorporating in their models as specialists of one or two things at a time in their research. So, for example, if they're studying just, the melting of Greenland and they're not including all the scenarios that will also increase ocean rise, for example, and none of them actually seem to be able to comprehend the nonsense that's going on at COP and with our species and its social systems, and therefore not incorporating everything in the Earth system sciences, either at the physical science level, but also the social science level, meaning that they will not talk about what is very obvious, that we cannot collaborate to save ourselves as a species, and that we are still too little too late, and even falling further and further behind to the modernity that the scientists are telling us is the current stage of our collapsing biosphere. So, I'm not surprised with this, and of course, COP27 is not something that raised my hopes in any way. It's the same old kind of dominant elites there, and they're kind of negotiating in the realms of money when that's what got us in trouble in the first place. I'm still watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, and in there, the humans don't have a monetary paradigm. And sometimes we want to compare ourselves to some of the human characters like Captain Picard or anybody else. But the thing is as a species, we resemble so much more the Ferengi, who will have always a ceiling of how much they can evolve when they are always trying to attract more assets, more monetary paradigm towards themselves in relation to other species they interact with, but also among themselves. So they would always be unable to play a productive part in a collective federation of planets because of this flaw, and this flaw is actually is actually who we are. So we are really the Ferengi in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and that's been obvious to me for a long time. So, Mr. and Mrs. Homo Communia, the People-Primates, you are at 99.94% of infected with HSD at points that you no longer are able to use the higher functions of your brain, and whether you are in the highest positions in your societies is you are still pretty much useless as a creature on two legs that wears clothes and has opposable thumbs and has a brain capable to have already achieved things that are so much more than what you have achieved already. And yet you won't have these conversations about the flaws always being right up here and not outside of you as a species.